This is Richard Simpson near the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. Two soldiers were just arrested for what is being reported as a possible coup attempt on Emperor Peter III. No details are available at this time, but it seems that one soldier apparently asked another about when the prospective coup was to happen. Army units are in an uproar trying to figure out exactly what is going on.
History with R&R presents June 27th, July 8th, 1762, St. Petersburg, Russia. Abdication of Emperor Peter III, the ascension of Catherine the Great.
Things here in the Russian imperial capital of St. Petersburg have gotten very tense over the last 6 months. It was about 6 months ago that Empress Elizabeth, daughter of Tsar Peter I, died, leaving her nephew, the former Karl Peter Ulrich, to become Emperor Peter III. Emperor Peter has made a bunch of enemies in the Russian government. Until he took over, Russia was involved in the 7 Years' War against Prussia. The first thing that Peter III did was to change sides, becoming an ally of Frederick II of Prussia. This was not well received by his military or his people. Peter also sent 40,000 Russian troops to Pomerania for an invasion of Denmark to restore parts of Schleswig to his birth and pre-emperor title, Land of Holstein. There is a conference due to take place on the 1st of July, Russian calendar, in Berlin under the patronage of Frederick II concerning lands and questions. The troops in Coburg are there in case the talks fall through. We now go to Jeff Franklin at Oranienbaum with Emperor Peter III. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Richard. I'm here in Lomonosov, outside the Oranienbaum Palace, where Peter III is staying, waiting to leave for Berlin and the Russian-Danish conference on Schleswig. From what we can tell, and it is hard getting information as the emperor has secluded himself at the palace, Peter is currently reviewing some troops before they are transferred to Coburg. A few minutes ago, a writer from St. Petersburg came to the palace. He was writing very quickly, which means we in the press corps assume it is an important message coming from the capital. Wait a minute. It looks like the writer is coming out of the palace. He looks dejected. He is mounting his horse and slowly turning towards the Peterhof and St. Petersburg. The Peterhof is the palace where the Empress consort Catherine is currently staying. That is also where Robert Knowles is. We now turn it over to him. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm standing inside Peterhof, Peter's country palace, and considered to be the Versailles of Russia. The Empress consort Catherine, born Sophie, has been staying in the palace by herself for the past several weeks. When I say by herself, I mean without Paul, her son and heir to the throne of Russia, and Peter, her husband. She is, of course, being attended to by her servants and advisors. Some of these advisors are rumored to be her lovers as well. Things are quiet here at the palace. Catherine is still awake, however. We are not sure if she is aware that a messenger had come from St. Petersburg to see her husband at Oranienbaum. Wait, I'm hearing something from Richard Simpson in St. Petersburg. Now to Richard.
HBS. I just witnessed Alexei Orlov, the brother of the Empress Consort's favorite advisor and rumored lover, Grigory Orlov, run out of the Winter Palace and commandeer a private coach. Orlov was apparently throwing money at the owner of the carriage. He rode off in the direction of both the Peterhof and the Oranienbaum. No one is quite sure why he is in such a hurry. We have heard that there are some rumblings that Nikita Ivanovich Penin, governor of the Tsarevich Pol, was making a speech. Shortly after that speech, Orlov scrambled to find the carriage. Here comes Penin now. Penin, can I speak to you?
Of course, but I'm not quite sure why and how much I can say.
I just saw Alexei Grigoryevich Orlov run out of the palace. Can you say anything about what that was about?
Let's just say there is important information I had to get to the Empress of Peterhof. I can tell you that there are big changes in Russia in the next 24 hours. That's all I can really say.
Understood. Thank you, Nikita Ivanovich Penin. HBS, it looks like Alexei Orlov is on his way to the Peterhof to see Empress Catherine. We are not sure what is so important that it required a very important messenger in the middle of the night, but Penin assures us that it is very important. I now send you to Robert Knowles at the Peterhof.
HBS, this is Robert Knowles at Peterhof, west of St. Petersburg, Russia. Empress Catherine is apparently sleeping at this time, but given the news that Orlov is on his way here, I am sure that she won't be sleeping for long. Wait a minute. Here comes Olaf now. He is running through the palace, aiming towards the Empress's private chambers. Olaf, can I speak with you?
Not right now. I have to talk to the Empress. It is vital. We'll let you know when we can what's going on.
There you have it, HBS. Something important is going on that involves the Empress. I am not sure if the Emperor is aware of the situation or what it involves. Let's go to Jeff Franklin in Olenbaum to see what the Emperor is doing in this situation. Take it away, Jeff.
HBS. I'm standing at the Oranienbaum Palace, and Emperor Peter III is watching maneuvers with the troops that are stationed here. Nothing out of the ordinary appears to be happening. Wait a minute. A messenger just came running across the courtyard. He is rather upset, talking to Peter III. Now Peter III appears to be upset himself. He is shouting at the messenger, and now he's telling his troops to get ready to protect the palace. It sounds like someone is threatening the emperor. Let me make my way over to him to see if I can find out what is going on. Your Highness, what can you tell me about what is going on?
It seems there has been a problem in St. Petersburg. Apparently, some soldiers have been discussing the possibility of a coup. We are not sure who is involved. We're just making preparations in case it turns out to be another minor uprising. It happens all the time. Nothing to worry about, really, but I want to be prepared, just in case. You, messenger, take this message to the Empress. Make sure my son is safe. I don't care what happens to that witch. Just make sure that my son is safe. Got it? Gut. Now, sir, if you'll excuse me, I have to prepare for a little inconvenience.
Of course, sire. Thank you. We are hearing from Robert Knowles that something is happening at the Peterhof.
Yes, Jeff. Alexei Orlov came running through the palace, demanding to see the Empress Catherine. Now Orlov and the Empress, not dressed regularly or as normal, came running through the palace heading for the carriage that brought Orlov here. I do not know where they're going. The horses that were pulling the carriage look very tired. I'm going out in front of the palace to see which way they were going. They're getting ready to leave. But a farm wagon is in the middle of the road coming to the palace for the daily delivery. It seems that Her Highness is giving money to the farm driver. Now they are taking the horses from both the carriage and the farm wagon. They are switching places of the horses. The farm wagon's horses are now being attached to the Empress's carriage. They are heading off, it looks like, to St. Petersburg, and not in the direction of Oranienbaum. I'm going to try to find transport to St. Petersburg, following the Empress and Olaf to find out what is going on.
Here, outside the Winter Palace, there are masses of troops lined up in formation. I am unable to tell what is going on, but there is word that the troops are showing support for Empress Catherine. From this, I can probably deduce that there is going to be a show of force to Emperor Peter III. It is well known in both Russian and world circles that Empress Catherine is much more well liked by the nobility and the Russian people than her husband. It has also not been that big a secret that Peter III has never been all that friendly to Catherine. Since the birth of Prince Paul, or Pavel as he is called in Russian, Peter has been very distant when it comes to Catherine. Rumors abound that he is very cruel to her, to the point of considering having her shaved bald and put in a convent. This, also, has not made the Russian people very enamored with their emperor. Although he has brought about several reforms to benefit his people, he still considers himself Prussian. He has been reported to not be very fond of Russia or its people. He still wears a Prussian blue military uniform, even though the Russian uniforms are green. I would say that if there is a change of power completely, the Russian people would gladly allow Catherine to be regent for Paul, who would be Emperor Paul I. I'm not saying that is what's going to happen, but events don't lead to many other scenarios. I hear a commotion out in the courtyard. It looks as though Empress Catherine and Alexei Orlov have arrived from Peterhof. I am going to turn on the boom mic to see what is being said.
So, Olaf, are these troops all on our side?
Yes, Your Highness.
Soldiers, the time has come to put an end to the tyranny brought on by my husband and Emperor. He has sided with our enemies. He has repeatedly put his love of Prussia before anything that would benefit the people he has sworn to lead. He despises all of you. He believes that none of you are worthy of anything compared to his beloved Prussians. I love this country. I put my Prussian heritage aside to become one of the people of this great land. I adopted your customs, your language, and your religion. Because I believe in the Russian people. I, myself, am not only a Romanov now, but I am also a descendant of the Rurik dynasty, which held power before the Romanovs. I stand here as a Russian citizen, and I would defend my people with all of my being.
The Empress has made her speech. She is now entering the Winter Palace. It is now apparently official. Empress Catherine has decided to take power from her husband. Now, if this means she will be Empress or Regent for Emperor Paul, it is hard to say. It is not unheard of for there to be a female ruler of Russia. There have been two so far. Catherine, the consort of Peter the Great, or Peter the First, was the first. The second was Peter the First's daughter, Elizabeth. I should mention that although the official title of the ruler of Russia is Emperor or Empress, as set forth by Peter the First, the Russian people still do call him Tsar or Tsaritsa.
Hello, Richard. Yes, HBS. You heard it. Empress Catherine is going to head a coup against Peter III. She has gone into the palace. We are getting some information from Olenbaum. Now to Jeff Franklin.
Apparently, news of the situation in St. Petersburg has reached Peter III. He has been in his private quarters playing his violin. It seems he is not taking any of the news very seriously. A messenger, one would assume from the capital, went into his private quarters to deliver a note. It is unknown what is contained in that note, or even if His Highness has read it. The Emperor has come out of his private quarters. He is telling everyone, including the press corps, that they are invited to go with him and his entourage to the Peterhof. Peter is planning on some sort of party there. I believe it is safe to assume that he has not read the message that came in. We are heading to the Peterhof, back to St. Petersburg.
Members of a group of nobility from Peter III have arrived here at the Winter Palace. We are in the room with them. Let's hear what they have to say.
Your Highness, I beg of you not to rise up against the Emperor. This is not good for the nation at all.
Well, I want you to come over here and tell that to those people down there.
Yeah, Katrina, we are with you.
So, you see, I have the support of the people. Peter does not. This is what the people want. And, as the new ruler of Russia, I will give the people what they want.
Then, Your Highness, I pledge my support to you.
And you?
Your Highness, I ask to be relieved of my duties. I cannot go against my Emperor, but I cannot go against you either.
I understand, and I do not hold that against you. You may go. Do as you feel is right.
Thank you, Your Highness.
You may go.
More news is coming in from Oranienbaum. Back to Jeff Franklin.
News is arriving piecemeal from the capital. Peter III is very upset.
Bring my Holstein regiment from Oranienbaum. Post them along the road. I want those troops out on the palace road now. Get them there.
Yes, Your Highness.
A group of advisors are gathering around Peter III at this moment. One of them is pushing a Russian green uniform to him. I would assume that he is requesting the Emperor to put it on instead of the Prussian blue he is still wearing. It sounds like they are discussing the possibility of marching on St. Petersburg to put an end to this. It is hard to tell as we have been pushed back from the Emperor and his party. The Emperor has decided to leave the Peterhof, making for the fortress of Kronstadt at the head of the Gulf of Finland. It is assumed that the forces there are still loyal to the Emperor. Back to St. Petersburg.
Empress Catherine has just left the Winter Palace, dressed in the green uniform of the Russian military. It looks as though she plans on leading this endeavor herself. She is now mounting a horse for the journey.
HBS. We have been blocked from entering Kronstadt harbor. The troops here are apparently denying access to the city by Peter III and his party. Peter has made it quite clear that he is the Emperor of Russia. The forces in charge of the city reportedly told him that Catherine is the ruler of Russia, not him. We are now heading back to the Peterhof.
I, with Robert Knowles, am with the troops under Empress Catherine's command heading towards the Peterhof. It is slow going, but the troops seem to be in good spirits.
HBS, we have returned to the Peterhof. Peter III has locked himself in his room. A messenger has left, one would assume to relay a note to Catherine.
A messenger has just arrived from Peter III. Empress Catherine is reading what the Emperor has written.
My loyal troops, my husband has sent a letter telling me that he is willing to share the throne of Russia with me. He has also given apologies for the treatment that he has bestowed upon me and the Russian people. I am here to say that sharing the throne is not an option. He has been a disgrace to the Russian people, and continuing to have him on the throne would be a smack across the face to the very Russian people he has claimed to care about in this message. You go back and tell him no. Abdication is his only option at this point.
The messenger has returned to Peter III at the Peterhof. It is very clear that Empress Catherine plans to rid Russia of Peter for good. It is still unclear whether she will be actual empress or just regent for Prince Paul. She was proclaimed the ruler of Russia by the Bishop of Novgorod. The Senate, the Holy Synod, the army, and the people have made Catherine the ruler of Russia. Whether she keeps that power or controls it until Paul reaches majority age is up in the air.
The messenger has returned from Catherine's location. He has gone into Peter's quarters. He is now leaving with another message, apparently for Catherine.
The messenger has returned from Peter III. Empress Catherine is going to read the message to her troops.
The former emperor has decided to abdicate the throne of Russia officially. His abdication will become official once he releases the statement later today. As of now, Peter III is no longer ruler of the Russian Empire. His only request is that he is allowed to go into exile in the lands of his and my mother's birth, Hollenstein. I see no reason to not allow this. Let him be healthy and happy in a land that has always been first and foremost in his heart and mind. Russia shall live on without him.
With the abdication of Peter III, Sophie has now become Empress Catherine II, ruler of all the Russias. How long she will wield such power is unknown.
This presentation of the abdication of Emperor Peter III and the ascension of Catherine the Great has been brought to you by History with Anna. It was produced, directed, and edited by Robert Knowles. The script was written by Richard Simpson. In addition to Robert Knowles, Richard Simpson, and Jeff Franklin as themselves, the cast included Purple Valkyrie as Empress Catherine the Great, DJ Odyssey as Nikita Panin, Loki as Alexei Orlov, Chris Knight as Peter III, Bird of Prey 5 as Noble 1, Captain Shrek as Noble 2, and the General, played by Jedi Bill 797. Please subscribe, like, and comment to show your support of what we do here. Also, make sure to check out the links below to not only support History with Anna, but the channels of the members of our cast. This is Peter Whalen speaking. Join us in 2 weeks as we examine another point in history. Thank you.
Yeah, exile in Holstein. Like that's going to happen.